Start with a dream and share it with some friends. The idea deepens and grows. The dream takes shape, it has form and substance. A community soon arose. A listening room, the hearing room, a place to find a home to play. A listening room, the hearing room. Express yourself and have your say. The walls are thin, and sirens blare. The tables sit near folding chairs. The stage is set with paint and glue, and love went into every screw. The light shine bright on every star. They come to play from near and far. The light shine bright on every star. They come to play from near and far. The listening room, the hearing room, a place to find a home to play. The listening room, the hearing room. Express yourself and have your say. Hearing room, a listening room. You're welcome here, so have no fear. The hearing room, the hearing room. Come in, my friend, where art can bloom. And welcome to the Woodshed podcast. I'm Aaron Tornberg, and I'm here with Snake once again. Snake was on a while ago, and he talked about some very interesting stories related to his involvement with Orpheus and going on the road and being a rock and roll guy on tour. And hopefully we're going to get a little more into that kind of stuff today, so be sure you listen in. And before you do that, I want to talk about the hearing room and mention that the podcast is every Monday and Thursday, 7 to 9-ish. It's about an hour and a half usually, or a little less. And then we also have the open mic Tuesdays, 7 to 10 p.m. We have Let's Have Words, which is the spoken word open mic, and that's 7 to 10. We have the Singin' Jam on Thursdays. That's the group jam where we put words and chords on the screen. Everybody comes and just jams together. It's a lot of fun. And then we have Fridays. We're going to start doing more jams on Fridays. The new one that I'm going to be doing is the acoustic jam. So we have had the Singin' Jam, which tends to get a little bit electric, and there's drums and stuff like that. But if you really want the folky experience, that is the acoustic jam that we're going to have on the first Friday of the month. So that is going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to starting that up. And we also have other jams going on Fridays, like the Bluegrass Jam, and there's going to be some other stuff going on that's going to be thematic. For example, I think the first one we're doing is a Pink Floyd Jam. So it's basically we're going to pick a band and everybody plays stuff from that band. And that way, if you like that band, that should be a lot of fun. We had a great Beatles night already. And we've had some others, and this is the one we're coming up with now is Pink Floyd, but we'll do Beatles again, I'm sure. It's a pretty popular one. But we also have Saturdays, we have the Performance Lab and the Drone Night and other cool stuff. And Sundays, we have the Drum Circle in the morning from, well, actually in the early afternoon, 12:30 to 1:30, and then the acoustic open mic that I'm doing, and that is from 2 to 5. That's a lot of fun, too. The acoustic open mic is really like a song circle. It's a very relaxing day. You should definitely check it out, Sundays 2 to 5. Then on Mondays, we actually also have a blues jam, and that one goes once a month on the second Monday.
So we have Woody Carpinella, Roland Oxenbein, and Tim Feeler, and they play together as a band, and they're fantastic. They'll jam the blues with you, so you should check that out too. We also want to thank the Greenville Junction Shop. That's Greenville, Greenville, Junction, Junktion, Shoppe, Shoppe. They do upcycled stuff. So the stuff they get is from estate sales, from storage units, from garage sales, from the side of the road. They pick out the best stuff that you would actually want, and they resell it. And it's used, but really good. I just personally, I asked them, could you get me a folding table that's about banquet size so I can play Dungeons and Dragons on it with my son? And lo and behold, I got one yesterday. So it's all kinds of stuff. I've also bought electronics from them, and they are located on Facebook. You can check them out. Greenville, Greenville, Junction, Junktion, Shoppe, Shoppe, and they are on Facebook Marketplace, on Facebook, and they have a website. Their website is still getting off the ground, so you want to look at both Facebook and the website probably. But if you want to check out the website, it's greenvillejunction.com. And remember, the spelling is a little different. GreenvilleJunction. So greenvillejunction.com. And they also are going to be, they're offering services for estate cleanout, garage cleanout, and they're an all-around good place, and Mark's a good guy, so check it out. All right, so we're here with Snake once again. Snake has been very supportive of the open mic, and I appreciate you being there, Snake. It's lots of fun. And what do you remember about how you started playing music? Like, what was your first gig? Do you remember?
Oh, my first gig? Yeah, actually. I started learning how to play guitar, and there were a couple of other guys around. I used to play with them off and on, just fooling around. And then they had a talent show at the high school.
Yeah.
I was a sophomore, I guess. Maybe I was a freshman. I don't remember exactly. And one of these guys that I was, playing with on a casual basis, and I did a duo as country singers. We sang "Tumbling Tumbleweeds."
Oh yeah, you still do that? That's a great one.
Yeah, I pull it up every once in a while. Yeah.
You know what to do it today?
I could, I suppose.
Okay. Wait, you can do it now or later, whatever you feel like. But I do love that song. The reason I love it, I heard it from the Sons of the Pioneers when they did it. But I love that song. And who was that? Where you got it from, or did you hear it from somebody else?
Basically, it was the Sons of the Pioneers. They had the big version.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a great song. I think Bob Nolan wrote it. I'm not sure.
I think you've said that. I think that sounds right. Yeah.
And I'm not sure of the year either. I'd have to look it up. Anyway. See them tumbling down, pledging their love to the ground. Lowly but free, I'll be fine, drifting along with the tumbling tumbleweed. Cares of the past are behind. No nowhere to go, but I'll find just where the trail will wind, drifting along with the tumbling tumbleweed. I know when night is gone that a new world will come at dawn, so I'll keep riding along. Deep in my heart is a song. Here on the range I belong, drifting along with the tumbling tumbleweed. I know when night is gone that a new world will come at dawn, so I'll keep riding along. Deep in my heart is a song. Here on the range I belong, drifting along with the tumbling tumbleweeds, drifting along with the tumbling tumbleweeds, drifting along with the tumbling tumbleweeds. Kind of rough. I haven't done it in a while.
Yeah, sounded good. The Tumbling Tumbleweeds, so that was a popular song at the time you did that in high school?
Well, no, it was an oldie.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
So, but that was like old country. That was like country western more. Was that more popular, or were you unique in that?
No, it was country western was much more popular than straight country.
Yeah, the country western stuff. I mean, I got into it way late in the 90s, but I had a good time with it.
That is pretty late.
Yeah, but I mean, although I did send a letter to Roy Rogers, and I got back a signed index card that I sent him, and his secretary sent me an answer to my letter. But she says she asked him, and I'm going to take her at her word for now, since I don't know. But I asked him how he wrote his songs. Did he use the lyrics or the words or the music first? And he said whichever, basically. So I didn't know what else to ask him. I mean, but at the time I was writing to musicians I liked. I wrote to Pete Seeger and got a response that was much more interesting. But yeah, that was fun. And so I really got into them. And did you do any other songs from that genre with that band, or was that?
No, we just got together for that one show.
Oh yeah.
And I met a few other people while we were doing that, and I started playing in general business type bands. We do the high school dances and stuff like that,
Earth Angel?
Well, yeah, we did some of that, but it was mostly instrumentals.
Oh, yeah.
Very few groups back in those days, bands, did anything vocally.
Really?
Yeah, it was just about all instrumental. And you got to remember, equipment was not nearly what it is today, not even within, several orders of magnitude. I had a little tiny guitar amp, little tiny thing, it was about 3 watts.
Oh, wow.
But that was about all that you could, that I could afford. And we had tenor sax and alto sax and upright bass and piano and a trombone and a trumpet,
Stuff that would carry on its own.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you played with these bands, were they just like people you knew, or did you actually try to make a career of this right off the bat?
No, these were just people that I knew, and was having fun.
Yeah, sounds like it. So what were some other songs you would do around that time?
Oh, geez, I don't even remember. We'd get these books, these little booklets called combo orcs, and what they were is popular songs of the day, arranged for small combos. And you'd get one for the keyboard player and one for the trumpet players and so on, that were in the proper keys for the instruments. And you'd work off of those. Or sometimes we'd get music from the high school band. They had a high school dance band. They had, real life sheet music.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'd get copies of that every once in a while. I remember, you probably remember the Henry Mancini theme from Peter Gunn.
Yeah.
That was a very popular song back in those days. And I remember the sheet music for the drummer at the end just closed out with "Hit Everything in Sight."
That makes sense with that one. Now with the so you did instrumentals, but so it was piano, guitar, bass, saxophone. Is that it?
Yeah, several sax, tenor and alto sax, and those guys doubled on clarinet, and you had a trombonist and a trumpeter.
So it was more the, I guess, post big band kind of thing, or
Yeah, really.
James Brownish kind of horns at everything.
Well, no, because that was soul, and
Yeah.
that was not done by white folks back in those days.
Right.
So it was standards.
So still American standards, just done with an ensemble kind of
combo,
for
yeah.
a school dance. What were the kind of gigs you got besides like a school dance? Did you do were there general community dance places and other things like that?
Not while I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
They started happening while I was in college. And I had several different groups in college, but the one that was the most popular was a group called the Blue Echoes. We played from 63 through 66. And we were extremely popular throughout central New England.
Mm-hmm.
We played a lot of college functions and fraternity parties and stuff like that at various schools. Somebody from, I think it was Brown, had a Boston Harbor cruise. We played that.
Oh, cool.
We'd go out to UMass, and we played all over the place.
And who's booking you when you do these?
Well, we were doing ourselves.
Yeah, and how did you get these gigs? Did you just call them up and?
No, word of mouth.
Oh yeah.
Because the group was really good.
Mm-hmm.
It was a trio. We had a really good lead guitarist, an excellent drummer, and I switched between a stereo 12-string and bass, depending on what the song was. And we started doing vocals because at that time we were making enough money so we could buy things like microphones and stuff, which we couldn't before. It still hadn't gotten to the point where you had a PA system. You still you did your vocals through your guitar amps.
Wow. I imagine that was a little crunchy at times.
It could be.
Yeah. Now, when you did the gigs, how much you get paid for something like that?
Well, we got, because we were so popular, we as a trio got $150.
As a trio.
Yeah. Now the union scale at that time was $14 a man, so we did much better than everybody else. And I talked to a few people who were around at that time. And they say, "Yeah, we remember you guys got all the gigs, and we had to take the leavings." And we did. We got a lot of gigs, not only at the fraternities and colleges and so forth, but also at high schools. Mm-hmm. The high schools started having dances. And so we started playing those. And then the open dance format started catching on.
Mm-hmm.
And we played a raft of those.
Mm-hmm.
We did so well with those that, there was Shrewsbury and Northborough banned us from the towns because the police said they couldn't handle the crowds. We were very popular.
That's great.
We did a record on our own label, which got picked up by a national. Didn't do anything, but we had a record.
Well, what did you have to do to make the record? Were there a lot of recording studios to do that, or
not a lot? No, we went to a place in Hartford, small place, and then had them pressed ourselves and distributed ourselves just locally in Worcester. Mm-hmm. But it made enough noise so that it made the charts in Worcester, the WRC charts. Now, WRC was unique in that they had, this was AM, okay, they had an all-request format. So the only way you might play something new just to, as a trial balloon. Mm-hmm. But everything was based on telephone requests. And, we got into the top 5. And that got the attention of Swan Records, who picked up our tune. Mm-hmm. It's since been re-released by a whole bunch of labels around the world.
And what was the name of the band?
It's called the Blue Echoes.
And that is available, you think, for people to check out?
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Okay, well, there you go. Blue Echoes. So that was your first band?
That was the first band of any significance.
Mm-hmm. And how did you guys end up having to call it quits?
We had all graduated. Mm-hmm. I was still in Worcester, but the lead guitarist, Tom Zagrin, he was from Bristol, Connecticut, and he went to school at someplace in Hartford. I can't remember the name of the school. Got an MBA. While he was doing that, he used to come up and play. But after he got his MBA, he went and got a straight job.
Yeah.
And that was the end of that.
Right. So where'd you go after? What was next?
I put together, also as part of this, I was in a folk trio. We made an album. And when John Kennedy was shot, we did a single, which got picked up by Swan also. Mm-hmm. And so I had the folk group going, I had the Blue Echoes going. I ended up quitting the folk group to concentrate on the Echoes because they were so popular. Then after the Echoes split up, I tried a couple things, didn't work. And then I asked a few of my guitar students who were trying to put together a band. I was teaching guitar at the YWCA in Worcester. Mm-hmm. And I asked them if they wanted to form a band with me. Mm-hmm. And, of course, they jumped at that. And we did we did James Brown. I screamed. And
you sang lead?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Wrecked my voice.
Can you do it now?
No. But we did a lot of soul music in particular. That's what we specialized in. And then Orpheus came along.
Right. Well, what about the soul music? Do you know any of those pieces still?
I don't do any of them anymore, no.
No. Okay. So when you did the soul group, what kind of gigs were those? Where'd you go?
Oh, again, there were fraternity parties and college functions, high school functions.
Kind of the whole Animal House kind of thing?
Well, not so much that. It depended. It depended on where you were.
Right.
My particular fraternity was the Animal House on the WPI campus. I remember when I went to see that movie. I took my wife, and it opens up with this nice, fraternity dance where everybody's wearing suits and the girls are wearing party dresses and stuff. My wife said, "That doesn't look so bad." I said, that's not my house." And then they came up with the actual Animal House with people barfing out of windows and running the motorcycle down the stairs and stuff. And I said, "Now that's home."
Yeah. Yeah. So that's an interesting place to call home.
Yeah.
Great movie, though.
Yeah.
So what did you, when you got into Orpheus, what was that process like when you got together? How did you find those guys?
Well, I had played with Jack McInnes, who was the second guitarist in Orpheus. He and Bruce Arnold had formed a duo after the folk trio split up.
Mm-hmm.
And they were called the Villagers, and they were extremely popular around, particularly on the Cape and in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
They were voted best folk duo by Broadside Magazine 2 years in a row. And I told this story last time, but they had a chance to possibly make a record, but they were advised to add bass and drums.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jack called me up, and I went over and sat in and worked. And we found a drummer, and then off we went.
Okay, so, and then you told the story in the last one, so we're not going to have to rehash it, but you got popular.
Yeah.
And then at some point you start touring, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about that we didn't get a chance to.
Well, what happened was we made our first album,
mm-hmm.
never having played a gig.
Oh, right, yeah.
And then after we had the album and they were getting ready to release it, we got booked in just a few places so that we could say we played somewhere.
Right.
And that was in Detroit and in Philadelphia and Chicago. And then we had our official debut at the Bitter End in Greenwich Village.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were off from there.
So, I want to jump to, you spent a while living with The Who, right?
Well, not living with them, no. But
I thought you were in a house with them, or?
No.
No, okay. I'm wrong.
We played with them quite a bit.
Okay.
Several gigs. And we got to ride on their tour bus, and, they had us over for parties to their hotel suite and stuff like that once in a while. They were probably the friendliest of the folks that we opened for. Most of the others were pretty standoffish.
Mm-hmm. So, when you would go to their parties, what were those like? A rock and roll 60s rock band party?
Nothing. I mean, they weren't, orgies or anything like that. They were just a bunch of people getting together and having a few beers and smoking a few J's, and that was pretty much it.
You said Keith Moon was an interesting guy.
Yeah.
What was interesting about him?
He was a trip. He was nuts.
Mm-hmm.
I told a couple of stories about him last time.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about as much as I've got. It's not like we lived with these guys. We saw them several times, and like I say, rode on the bus, and it wasn't a fast friendship kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Just, they were acquaintances, really.
And but you did have some interesting experiences with other bands as well. So, like, you had told me a story you didn't tell last time about Janis Joplin. Why don't you give us a little bit of that?
Yeah, well, Janis Joplin, we first ran into her when we were playing in Philadelphia. She was still with Big Brother and the Holding Company at the time, and they were playing just down the street from this little club that we were at. I can't remember the name of it. And Mainstream Records, they were on Mainstream, had cut them off of funds, from what I understand. They were one of the companies, one of the labels that had offered Orpheus a contract with some front money. But we just didn't think that it was a good fit. And what happened was Big Brother was touring based on their anticipated royalties.
Mm-hmm.
And Bobby Shad, the guy who owned Mainstream, cut them off. Records aren't selling. I'm not giving you any more money up front. So they were, kind of down on their luck. And we were walking home from the place we were playing at, walking back to the hotel, and Janis was literally drunk and barfing in the gutter.
Mm-hmm.
And she took a real shine to Jack. She thought Jack was just the coolest. He was a good-looking kid, He was just so cool. Jack said that his claim to fame was that he turned down Janis Joplin. And I don't blame him for that.
Well, barfing girl in the gutter doesn't really seem that attractive.
No, it's really not. We opened for her at Tanglewood in the Berkshires.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's people all over the place on the hills. It was outdoor kind of thing. And we did our set, and then she went up and did hers. And, of course, by this time she was on her own. And she was pretty whacked. She did her Southern Comfort and whatever else. I don't know what in particular. But she was out on stage, and in the middle of a song, the sax player took a break.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy on the spotlight shifted the spotlight over to the sax player, which figures.
Mm-hmm.
And she stopped the show. She said, "That light will remain on me at all times." And then they started off again, and a few songs later, the guitar player took a break, and the guy in the spotlight forgot. And he switched the light again, and she stopped the show again. I told you that, I'm paraphrasing, I told you that light was to stay on me at all times, you asshole, and she walked off the stage.
Yeah.
And that was that. And all these people sitting waiting to hear her play. Well, that was the end of it.
And she's in her early 20s probably at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. That takes a lot of guts to say that and to just stop a performance like that.
Yeah, but, it had gone to her head.
Yeah. Well, she was very good.
Oh, yeah, she was.
I mean, her voice was amazing. So you played with her. Who else did you end up opening for with Orpheus?
Oh, lots of folks. Led Zeppelin, Jeff Beck, the Rascals, Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Oh, man. There's a big, long list somewhere, but I don't have it at my fingertips.
Well, The Who, was, you were a little bit more friendly with them, but was there a band you opened for that you were like, I can't believe we're here?
No, actually. We just did our thing.
Mm-hmm. And so you have any other Orpheus songs that you want to pull out besides Can't Find the Time? Because you did that last time.
I did that last time. No, I don't. I pretty much don't do Orpheus songs.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen Martin and I do some of the stuff from the fourth Orpheus album,
Mm-hmm.
which was when he was in the group. But I don't do many of them myself, just because I do other things.
Right.
That was then. This is now.
So what are you doing now?
Well, I do several songs that were written by Stephen.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of them. It was recorded by Jamie Brockett on his second album. You familiar with Jamie?
I'm not.
Oh, he was a great folkie from Worcester.
I'll have to check him out. He's online, got some albums up. How do you spell his name?
Brockett.
Okay.
Jamie. He had a cult favorite called The Voyage of the Titanic, or something close to that. It covered one whole side of an LP.
Mm-hmm.
And it became a cult favorite. And he went all over the country and down into Mexico, all over the place, touring in his Citroen.
Yeah.
He took a Citroen up to 1,000,000 miles, so he said.
That's a feat.
Yeah. Taking any car up to 1,000,000 miles is a feat. But a Citroen didn't know that was possible. Anyway, Stephen wrote this song. It's about better living through chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
Black beauty, it's me, swinging in from the cherry tree. Black beauty, can't you see I'm yours now that I'm free? And heavenly blue, I love you. Won't you say that you love me too? Won't you kindly tell me what it was I was supposed to do? You know the groundhog has a periscope poking up through the sand. There's a beatnik at my door. Got a feeling he's the man. Well, Mary Jane, hello. How does your garden grow? Really miss my baby. You're the only friend I know. Ah, sweet little sugar cube, you're so fine. Really help me to straddle that line. Take me in your golden arms. Fly me till the end of time. Ah, but Red Devil, you got me uptight. Keep me guessing all the long, lonely night. Rapping to the light bulb about how I'm gonna be alright. Now, I suspect that most of you would prefer to remain my friends. But the boys in blue will come for you. Who will have us? Who will have us then? Well, Mary Jane. That's who. How does your garden grow? Really miss my baby. You're the only friend I know. I'm Mary Jane, baby. How does your garden grow? Really miss my baby. You're my only friend. Really miss my baby. You're my only friend. Really miss my baby. You're the only friend I know.
So,
for those of you who are not around in the late 60s, Black beauties were, and still are, uppers. Heavenly blue is morning glory seeds. There is an hallucinogenic compound in the husks of morning glory seeds. And if you know how to process it, you can get off. There's also strychnine in there, so you have to process it pretty carefully.
mm-hmm.
I never did it. I have no idea how to do it. Although I did run into a woman at an open mic in Newton once. She said she knew how to do it and had done it several times. But she was kind of not all there, so I'm not so sure about her methodology.
Yeah.
Sugar cube, of course, is the way that LSD was delivered before they invented the microdot. Red Devils are downers. And Mary Jane, of course, is Mary Jane.
Mm-hmm.
And we all thank the good people of Massachusetts for having voted it legal.
Right. And now there's a CBD sign in every store.
Yep.
So I think I'm going to take a break right here and talk a little about the hearing room, and then we'll get back to it with Snake. This is, by the way, our 50th episode, which is pretty exciting as far as I'm concerned. And the episode is with Snake, particularly because he was on one of the early ones, and we had a great time, and Snake is really supportive of the hearing room in general. And we are looking right now for members at the hearing room. So it's very important to talk about membership at the hearing room because that's what keeps the hearing room going. The memberships are $100 per year, and what that does is it helps us pay our rent, pay our lights, pay our utilities, other things, and we then use donated money usually to continue supplying XLR cables and all the sound equipment and the physical place. But our basic expenses, our rent and all that stuff, we cover with the membership. So if you use the hearing room, that's why you should be a member. But you do get a couple other things. You get $5 off all events. you get a T-shirt, and you get a membership card. So it is a good idea to help us out and become a member. And you can find out more about that at hearingroom.net. In fact, there is a membership drive right now, and in about 6 days, Linda Marks is going to do a special event that is going to be on February 16th, and it's going to be at her salon, which she has regularly. And at the salon, it's going to be a benefit for the Hearing Room, and it's going to hopefully be time for memberships to be purchased. And the idea of that event is, if you're not a member, you should become a member. As I said, it's $100 a year. It's not that much for a lot of people, and we are working on maybe a sort of partial payment plan throughout the year. But if you have trouble covering the $100 but you want to do it, let us know, and we'll try to work that out. So I also want to thank the Greenville Junction Shop. That's Greenville, GreenVille, JUNKTION, Shoppe, SHOPPE. The Greenville Junction Shop is an upcycling shop, and it is stuff that is pulled from the side of the road, from estate sales, from garage sales, from auctions, all kinds of places. And they will then have items for you. And as I said earlier, I have bought electronics, I bought furniture, and there are household appliances and other things you can find there. So please check them out on Facebook at Greenville Junction Shoppe. Greenville, JUNKTION, Shoppe, SHOPPE. And they're in Greenville, New Hampshire, and Clinton, Massachusetts. And you can find them on Facebook, and you can also find them online on their own website at greenvillejunction.com. And remember that junction is spelled with junk, JUNKTION. So check out greenvillejunction.com. They also do estate and garage cleanout. So if you need help cleaning, it's a good place to get that help. So check them out, and we're back with Snake. So, Snake, so what else are you doing lately? Like, how do you fill the days now that you're retired?
I play all the time.
Yeah.
Last year, between actual gigs, recording sessions, radio, TV, podcasts,
yeah,
and open mics, I did 383 performances.
That's more than one a day. That's pretty good.
I get doubles on Sundays and often get triples on Sundays.
Yeah.
I'm shooting for 400 this year. We'll see if I can make it or not.
So how do you deal with all the driving? What do you do in the car? You just listen to music, or
just listen to music? Yeah.
And you like just driving from place to place? Do you enjoy the drive?
I've always been a road warrior. That's always just been something I enjoy doing.
Yeah. You ever get ideas for what you're gonna do just driving there, like songs you want to cover that you didn't think of before?
Oh yeah. Every once in a while, I'll be driving along and I'll think of a song and I'll say, gee, I should really do such and such song, and see if I remember the lyric or not. And if I do, work out in my head what key I need to play it in and work out the chords. And sometimes I'll arrive at a place and just do the song that I'd never played before, but I worked out the arrangement in the car.
Right. And I know when you've come to open mic, that's happened a few times when you're like, oh, I have never played this, but here it is. So that's car working out, right?
Yeah.
That's nice. So what kinds of things are you playing at these gigs right now?
Well, I like to do songs that have a message that speaks to me somehow. It doesn't have to be a moral issue or something like that, but it's got to have something that makes it stand out to me as in terms of its lyrical content.
That happened to me recently, too. I was listening to God Only Knows, but it was a cover version of it that was really beautiful. And I was just like, I never heard that song that way before. So I think you're onto something with coming up with a new way to sing the same song.
Well, that's what is a lot of fun. See, I don't write because writing is just too much grief and hassle. But the fun part for me comes in taking a song and making it mine.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to do songs that were written by friends of mine, too, if I get the opportunity. Because there are a lot of great songwriters out there,
Mm-hmm.
many of whom come to the open mics at the hearing room.
Yeah. And other places.
Yeah. This is one such song. It's written by a friend of mine from Cambridge named Rick Drost.
He was actually on the show fairly recently.
Rick is a phenomenal songwriter. I think he's the best songwriter I know. He's got some just incredible stuff. I did one of his songs last podcast called Still Point. This is another one that's just absolutely blows me away. Rick wrote it to a prompt. And I'm not sure just what the prompt was, but he decided that he wrote it while he was traveling, actually driving across the country. He does more driving than I do. And his idea for the song was connected to the Native Americans. But when I heard the song, it screamed a different thing at me. It screamed the story of Prometheus. Now, Prometheus, in Greek mythology, was a titan, an immortal, half-brother to Zeus. According to the myth, Prometheus was the one who created humanity, formed people out of clay. He's perhaps best known as the fire-bringer because he brought fire to mankind as a gift. I guess he figured that since he made us, we were like his children, he should do something to make our lives better. So he gave us the gift of fire. Now, that was over the strenuous objections of Zeus. He really pissed off Zeus with this one because Zeus was of the opinion that humanity could not be trusted with fire. And the lyric of the song says that Zeus was right. And it also says that at the end of the universe, even the immortals must die. I bring fire to the planets of the galaxy. The crystal that I hold to catch the sun. All gather round for warmth. I tell them it's a gift to be used with love and shared with everyone. And it always starts out well. They learn to tame the fire, share them, cook, stay warm, keep peace at bay. But then someone wants the biggest fire, someone wants the only one. Once fighting starts, it all will burn away. And the prairies burn, and the forests burn. Soon it's only cinders and ash. Had high hopes for this one planet I enlightened long ago. They learned to tame the fire, made tools in glass, built cathedrals with stained windows, let the colored sunlight through, and orchestras and choirs sing hallelujah, hallelujah. Then they started burning everyone who wouldn't sing their tune, burned books of foreign thought and foreign songs. And they learned to can the fire and rain it down on everyone. Now everything will burn before too long, and the cities burn, and the grasslands burn. Soon again it's cinders and ash. Now I'm on a lonely planet, round some star I've never seen. Should find one that's not had fire before. But so far all I've accomplished has turned to stone and ash, and I don't want no part of it no more. So I've gathered up some fuel, found some tinder in my poke. For one last time, I've caught the sun in crystal. I'll lie here in the warmth, the crystal shattered at my feet. I'll still be here after the fire dwindles. Farewell to all the silent stars, the planets stone and ash, the planets stone and ashen, soon to be. Farewell to all the gentle creatures, abiding in green valleys. Farewell to all the love was meant to be. Still warm but getting colder. Use the fire well. Colder. Share the fire with love. cold. Love cold. So you see how that fits in with the legend of Prometheus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I say, it just screamed that at me when I heard the song.
Yeah, that was it's a powerful song, and you do it a little differently than Rick does.
Yeah, quite a bit.
And he says the song came to him, like that's how he views it. Is he didn't really write it? It just he received it.
Yeah, well, I can see that.
Yeah. So you're friends with Rick Drost, and you do a couple of his. Who are some other local artists that you like to play?
Of course, I do Stephen Martin.
Mm-hmm.
I do Bobby Chabot, Jane Fallon, Robert Emmett Dunlap, Mike Loriano.
You come to the open mic a lot, as we mentioned at the hearing room, and I know that there's some amazing songwriters that come here. Do you do anything by David Hardwick?
Yes.
Yeah, because I've heard one.
Incredible song.
Yeah.
Dave's from Arlington, and he used to live in Fort Worth, Texas. So we call him Texas Dave. And in 1997, he was still living down there in Fort Worth, hadn't made his escape yet. But he decided he'd like to write a song that sounded like it was, or it could have been, a country classic from the 30s or 40s. And he came up with this piece, which I think really nails it. When I tell people that it was written by a guy that I know in 1997, many people just don't believe it because it sounds so much like one of these classic country songs. So he really did what he wanted. Small Texas town, I was just passing through. They were holding a dance 'neath a big yellow moon. I smiled at a girl, she smiled at me too, and her eyes were blue bonnet blue. We danced every dance, went for a walk, springtime romance. There was no need for talk, but when the time came to bid her adieu, her eyes were blue bonnet blue. Blue bonnet blue, her eyes were blue bonnet blue, and her smile was as warm as springtime in Texas, and her eyes were blue bonnet blue. can still hear that tune. In my dreams we still dance 'neath that big yellow moon. And she wakes me and smiles and says, I love you. And her eyes were blue bonnet blue. Blue bonnet blue. Her eyes are still blue bonnet blue. And her smile still is warm as springtime in Texas. And her eyes are still blue bonnet blue. Blue bonnet blue. Her eyes are still blue bonnet blue. And her smile still is warm as springtime in Texas. And her eyes are still blue bonnet blue. That song is instant classic as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's a great song. I think Dave did that when he was on the podcast as well. He's very talented. He has a lot of good ones.
Yeah, he does.
I was looking at your biography, and you have done a lot of different things in your life. But one thing that I don't think I've talked to you about is you have 17 patents. Mm-hmm. What kind of devices did you create?
Well, these were primarily in optics or in lead-acid batteries. So I worked for a company in Marlboro that made mine lighting equipment. Mm-hmm. Particularly the cap lamps that the miners wear on their heads. So my battery patents were on the batteries for those, and the optics patents were on different ways of controlling light to get so you could continuously adjust from a spotlight to a floodlight without any losses. Mm-hmm. And so that's what they are.
Yeah. And also, you were a DJ for a while as well.
Yeah, I did that for a while.
And what was the service that you said mobile disc jockey? What is a mobile disc jockey?
That means you go in and you set up and you do a thing and play music for folks at a party or whatever, and then you pack up and leave.
Yeah.
So it's not like you have permanently installed equipment.
And that was like with cassettes or with...
Well, I started off doing it with cassettes.
Okay.
I started off doing it with cassettes. Then then MP3s came around, so I burned MP3 CDs. And then I ended up putting them all on a hard drive. I used to carry about 60,000 songs.
Wow. And
it was a all-request thing. People asked me to play a song, and I'd pull it up and play it, and I was very rarely stumped.
Wow. And, I remember, though, I took, I guess, probably 120 cassettes on my back to go to England, Scotland, and Ireland, and I just couldn't be without my music. So I'm going from train station to train station with a much too heavy bag because of my cassettes, and makes it a lot easier when it's MP3s.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They're not as heavy. But so you had to schlep all that with you.
Yeah.
So how many cassettes was that, probably?
Oh, well, let's see, About 1,500.
That you were just and how did you carry them? How many boxes?
Oh, I had racks that unfolded and that contained trays, that were trays actually when they unfolded. And I had half a dozen of those. Each one had 200 cassettes in it, and then I carried another whole bunch of the less used ones in just plastic boxes.
And did you like doing that?
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
And I had it all indexed on on a laptop.
Wow.
But it got a lot easier when I transferred everything over to a portable hard drive and just plugged it into the laptop.
Mm-hmm. So when you were a DJ, were you still playing live? Were you doing both?
No, that was all I was doing, was DJing.
Oh, okay.
My wife forbade me to play music.
Ah.
She allowed me to do the disc jockey thing once in a while, as long as I gave her half the money.
Oh, of course. Did you? So when you got divorced, you just kind of did your own thing and did the mining operation.
Well, I was married when I
oh, you did
most
that?
of the time when I was in there.
Oh, yeah.
But once I got divorced, I was traveling all the time, so I didn't really pick up music again. I played an occasional gig with Jack, and I'd go over to Harry's house every once in a while and play a little bit. But I didn't really get back into it until 2004,
right,
when we formed Orpheus Reborn.
Now, you've been performing with a lot of people and produced some albums, too, like with Michael Gutierrez May. I know you helped him produce. And Colette O'Connor, I guess you played with sometimes.
Yeah.
And
Carolyn Griffin.
Mm-hmm. And when you play with these people, do you just play bass typically?
Mostly, yeah.
And do you ever cover any of their songs?
I haven't yet.
But you might.
But I very well might.
Yeah.
Colette's songs, she's got some beautiful songs. They're very, very intricate guitar-wise. And I'm not sure I could do them.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're so complex. Carolyn's songs, I call them tortured soul blues.
Yeah.
Because they're sort of ripped out of her, and unless you feel the way she does, it'd be very difficult to do them.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael's songs they're fun. They're a little nutty, but there's a couple of those I might do, but I haven't yet.
Well, so who else would you like to play for us today?
Oh, let's see. I was a great fan of Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, yeah.
And Stevie Nicks. And this is one of my favorite songs. Stevie Nicks wrote this in 1975. Took my love, took it down. Climbed a mountain, turned around. When I saw my reflection in the snow-covered hills, the landslide brought it down. Mirror in the sky, what is love? the child in my heart rise above. Can I sail through the changing ocean tide? Can I handle the seasons of my life? Now I've been afraid of changing 'cause I built my life around you. But time makes you bolder, children grow older, and I'm getting older too. So take my love, take it down. Climb a mountain, turn around. And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, landslide'll bring it down. And I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I built my life around you. But time makes you bolder, children grow older, and I'm getting older too. I'm getting older too. So take my love, take it down. Climb a mountain and turn around. And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, landslide'll bring it down. If you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, landslide'll bring it down. Thank you.
Yeah, I like that one. That's a great song. So when you reorganize a song to perform it, what's the process you go through? How do you decide what it should be like in your performance?
Well, first of all, I have to find what key I can sing it in.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just I just build a chord progression that works for me. It's not necessarily the same one that the song was written in.
Mm-hmm.
To me, if you're going to play a song like it's on the record, well, you might as well buy the record. You know, why do that?
Right.
So I like to change songs and make them. It's not really me singing, actually. It's I'm channeling the universe.
Well, the universe sounds pretty good.
You know, the songs have a life of their own. They're out there floating around, just waiting for somebody to adopt them, pick them up and do them. If nobody does, they'll die. That's why I like doing these old songs. You know?
Mm-hmm.
This is an old one. As I mentioned before, I did my first commercial recording in 1963. I did an album and 2 singles, different groups. This song was on the album. It's a traditional old song from the 1800s sometime. But as I was playing it, I just dug it out, like a couple of weeks ago. And I started playing it. Had to look up the lyrics online. But the problem was that every time I played it, it seemed like it was incomplete. These other lyric lines kept popping into my head, and I couldn't figure out where they were coming from. Because I go back online and look up the song again, and nope, those lyrics aren't there, but they belonged there. So then I finally got smart last Wednesday, and I did a search on the lines that were sticking in my head, and found out why. It seems that in 1951, some folks decided to make a movie based on the song itself, the old traditional song, and on the story that it tells.
Is this a Jimmy Stewart movie? The one called Shenandoah?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a great line in there that I think is the funniest line I've heard him ever say, which is his daughter is being picked up by a young man who's courting her, and he says to his son, "Oh, your sister's ripe and the pickers are here," which I think is the most misogynistic, awful thing to say about your daughter. But that's a line from the movie. Your sister's ripe and the pickers are here. But the song's good.
Yeah, so anyway, the producers wanted to have a song that sounded like the original traditional song, but they wanted to have one that was different enough so they could get a copyright on it and make some money, because after all, it's all about money. It's not, nothing to do with art. So they hired a couple of heavy hitters, Elvin Drake and Jimmy Sherrill, who were used to doing this kind of thing, to write a variant on the original song. And they used most of the original melody, expanded it a little bit, used some of the original lyrics, and wrote some extra lyrics, and those are the lyrics that were sticking in my head. The Kingston Trio recorded this version in 1959. And I like both sets of lyrics, so I sort of combined the two. Oh, Shenandoah, I long to hear you far away, you rolling river. Oh, Shenandoah, I've not been near you. Away, I'm bound away, across the wide Missouri. For 7 years I've been a roaming. 7 years I left the valley. Now I live just for my true love to see. Across the wide Missouri, a roll, across the wide Missouri. Oh, Shenandoah, I love your daughter. Away, you rolling river. For her I'd cross the raging water. Away, I'm bound away. Across the wide Missouri. My lady love, she stands awaiting far across the wide Missouri. On the banks I hear her calling to me. A rollery, across the wide Missouri. A rollery, across the wide Missouri. Oh, Shenandoah, I'm bound to leave you away, you rolling river. Oh, Shenandoah, I'll not deceive you. I'm bound away. Across the wide Missouri. I'm pushing on when dawn's a breaking. Gonna cross the wide Missouri, where my love, she stands awaiting for me. A rollery, across the wide Missouri. A rollery, across the wide Missouri.
I actually recorded that once when I was doing my first recordings. I always liked that song. The version I always heard it was the Harry Belafonte version. I always liked his because it was more of a folky version. There's a bunch of orchestrated ones of it, but Anyway, it's a great song. And I lived in Virginia for a while, so that's when I got a little more enamored with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're running out of time a little bit here, but maybe, do you have one other that's a favorite lately that you'd like to try?
I haven't been doing this one that long either.
Well, with all due respect, whenever you say that, it ends up being really good, so I'm not too worried about it. You always say, this is the first time out of the barn, and I'm like, it's perfect. Why are you telling me that?
It's written in 1959. Today it's accredited to Bob Garfrerick and Walt Aldridge. But the original record from 1959 attributes the song to have been written by J. Rock and the 6 members of the group that recorded it, the Skyliners. I suspect what happened is that when the Skyliners decided that they were going to break up, they said, well, let's just sell off the rights to the song and split the money, and that'll be that. And then I suspect that Garfrerick and Aldridge bought it and just put their own name on it, which is perfectly legal. If you buy the rights to a song, you own it. You can put your name on it. You can change it any way you feel like. You don't have to give any credit to the original writers.
Okay.
Because after all, it's not just in politics where money can change history. It's everywhere if you've got enough. But whoever wrote it, it's a great song. Now I don't have plans and schemes, and I don't have hopes and dreams. I don't have anything, since I don't have you. I don't have fond desires, and I don't have happy hours. I don't have anything, since I don't have you. I don't have happiness, and I guess I never will again. When you walked out on me, in walked old misery, and he's been here since then. Now I don't have love to share, and I don't have one who cares. I don't have anything, since I don't have you. I don't have happiness, and I guess I never will again. When you walked out on me, and walked old misery, and he's been here since then. Now I don't have love to share, and I don't have one who cares. I don't have anything, since I don't have you, 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 you.
That was great. So what number are you up to so far in your performances this year?
Oh, well, let's see. The end of January, I'll be up to up to 32.
32.
Yeah.
Oh, you're falling behind. Only 32?
Well, hey, I had a snow day in there.
Only one a day? You got to get to that 400. You're gonna have to do 2 a day. Come on.
Well, see, I've got band practices most Mondays, and I don't count those.
Oh, I see. So you got to push.
Yeah, and then when you get a snow day, it wipes you out,
Right. Well, I'll do whatever I can to keep you working. And you can count the podcast, I think, today.
Oh, yeah, I do count the podcast.
Okay, good. Because this is a performance. It's going out there. So we'll, I guess we'll report on the podcast when you hit 400. And so that'll be late this year. Mm-hmm. But by then, hopefully, there'll be a new president. We'll see.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll see you at open mics and all kinds of stuff. People can see you in a lot of places. Just a few are my open mic here at the Hearing Room, which is 2 to 5 on Sundays. Often you're here. The PCA in Westford, I know you're there, which is every other week on Sunday night with John Furlow, and who I should be getting on the podcast soon. I keep forgetting to call him. And where else can people hear you?
Almost every Saturday I'm at the Catbird Cafe, which is at the New England Wildlife Center in South Weymouth. That runs from 5 o'clock till whenever.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing that for 13 years, running the board there. I'm thinking about backing off from that a little bit because there's other places I want to go, and I haven't been able to do it on Saturdays.
Right.
So I'm going to start taking some time off and doing more Saturdays.
And the Stone Church is where?
Stone Church is at the Stone Church Music Club in Newmarket, New Hampshire. I'm there quite frequently.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight, after doing this, which happens to be a Wednesday, but when we're recording this, I'll be at Luthier's Co-op in East Hampton,
Mm-hmm.
which is one of my favorite places. Last night I was at the Sandy Wood Center for the Arts in Tiverton, Rhode Island.
Mm-hmm.
I cover southern New Hampshire, most of Massachusetts, from the Cape out to the Berkshires.
Well, thank you very much for being on the podcast again.
Certainly my pleasure.
And you can hear Snake at all those places, and you can check out the Hearing Room at hearingroom.net and the Greenville Junction Shop. You should check them out on Facebook and at greenvillejunction.com. And have a great week.
And by the way, if you friend me on Facebook, I do post my schedule for the next 5 days every day.
And that's Eric Gulliksen.
Gulliksen, right? Gulliksen. All
right. And everybody have a great week and listen in next time.
Start with a